3.
Good evening.
That's it.
Good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to this About Effing Time live therapy session. I've tried my Bond expertise of trying to do a bow tie. I'm useless. I need Nick Fawkes to help me. We have got someone that is the adventurer, and he is out in the wilderness. This is Andrew, and he is really out in the wilderness. He's got a campfire. He is rocking it out there. And then Adrian is kind of in his usual place. So, hey, Adrian.
Howdy.
I recognize that place. You've shot a video there before, haven't you, Adrian? One or two.
One or two.
Two.
I literally just got back. We've got the legend in the house. We've got the big man, Nico.
Well,
look, what are you doing?
Let's go.
Nico, I'm so pleased you're here. I'm just going to do something that I kind of ballsed up on every time. And one of them is, let's do a quick wrist check. Who's got a Bond watch on and who can annoy Adrian with any logos?
Well, I'm going to go first because I have the best watch of all time with a solid connection to Bond. But we'll talk about that later because it seems to have upset so many people. The one time we don't talk about Rolex and it upsets people. Any other time it would have been the opposite.
Andrew, what are you wearing?
I'm full camo. I'm wearing a camouflage Casio. Just because I'm proper bush bashing out here in the glorious Grampians region of Victoria, a wine region. There's big boulders everywhere. The sun's just rising. It's Casio time, baby. I'm wearing everything else under here is khaki and camo. So no Bond connection between Casio and Bond, I don't think. Is there? There must be.
Yes. We already talked about it. I mean, like, come on! There was a Casio. It was one of the digital.
Yes.
I mean, come on, did you even watch your own show?
No, I didn't.
Does his bit.
I just read the comments.
Takes a paycheck.
And just so everyone knows, I have got the Night Diver, the original Night Diver on, and I have brought and purchased the one that is going to annoy the hell out of someone, because I loved someone's comment about
it doesn't have a logo. It doesn't have a logo, does it?
It does.
Like Adrian's, he's a sensitive lad.
It doesn't have a logo. It has about 20 logos all over it. I'm like,
that was when they were milking the teats of the Bond collaboration.
Yeah, look at that logo. But do you know what I love about this? This was a quartz watch, and I loved one of the comments from someone that put a massive comment in and said one of their first loves was the quartz watch from GoldenEye. That was the James Bond Omega, and I just went, you're totally right. And they were talking about GoldenEye, the computer game, and they said, "Oh, it was so cool on that." And I was like, "This is so." Anyway,
you're such a backtracker, George. You hated my Brosnan era Amiga suggestion, and now suddenly you've gone and bought one. You're all on board. Come on, Slippery George. Where do you stand?
Slippery George.
Well, what have I got on my wrist, and what have I got to annoy someone? It may be on eBay in a couple of months' time.
What I like about that is the fact it's still got the tags on it, so I kind of rest my case.
New old stock. That's such a Bamford move. Did you go back to the dealer that we mentioned in the next episode? I shouldn't mention that dealer, but I feel so sorry for that dealer. You fleeced that dealer, George. Anyway, we'll get to that.
So look, what I wanted to get to is talk about Bond watches. There's been an elephant in the room, and it's something that Adrian just hinted about, and that is we didn't talk about what I would talk about is the Terence Young era of James Bond. That's the Dr. No, Goldfinger. That's the start of James Bond, and it's the watch era to start on that. We were talking about the chainsaw watch as well, and I'm just wondering if everyone can recognize what what watch we're talking about or watch brand we're talking about.
Is it the Big R?
The Big R. Sorry, is that?
There's a lot of questions in the comments, like just how did this happen, guys?
I think what happened was I assumed everyone else was going to talk about the Rolex connection because it's the single beyond the current day Omega connection. The biggest one is Rolex and the Submariner, Rolex and the Explorer. So I think it was just too obvious, which is bizarre because it seems like Omega would be the obvious choice. But I think it's one of those things that's, if we were to talk about it, it'd feel like we were trying to be a specialist or trying to be have that insider knowledge, which actually everyone has. So it's it's a funny one. It's a funny one.
And where do you guys stand? Like, because there's two. Like, I've been haunted in my dreams by the numerals 6, 5, and 3 and 8 this week, because obviously that was the biggest miss. But we've had some people defending Rolex's gadgetry, saying Omega doesn't own all the gadgets. The 5513 with the buzzsaw. Yeah, I mean that we did it. We had it in B-roll. Marcus, who's the About Effing Time logo there, who's listening, he was good enough to throw in that watch. But I feel like maybe we did. Maybe that's just a straight up admission that we kind of missed that one because we all thought the other one was bringing it, right?
Well, I'm going to say is there's two of you that would have easily brought it. You knew I was going to bring the Hoya and something batshit crazy. So you knew that I was going to bring the batshit crazy ones. But you two, I mean, like Captain Boring and kind of like, you know, I mean, like
Captain Jack.
You know, I just thought he was going to bring, you know, he wears it on every episode anyway.
Because in addition to those two, there's also Fleming's watch, which I think you're wearing, Adrian. Like precisely.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know what era he had. It must have been the 10. No, it was a 1016 that he had, because he's a cool dude.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I do want to say
thing.
something. Yeah, it's a funny thing, and these are the things that can they can happen, and you can just kind of trio blank. But let's talk about it, because Rolex on a NATO is a special thing. And like when I talk about, I think the first watch I loved in episode 1, I talked about a Submariner on a black NATO strap was a total game changer for me. Yeah. Like it was just so awesome. And I think I even mentioned that it was Bond inspired. So don't worry, guys, it's deeply embedded in our consciousness. And we just missed it.
No, but do you think that it's one of those things that we overthought it beforehand anyway? We were kind of like, we're trying to show off to each other, because that's slightly how I felt that, you know, you're like, hey, I want to show off my knowledge on something else. I don't want to bring the normal.
It's pretty boring, especially when Captain Boring brings the most obviously attractive Bond watch and just kind of goes.
I had to win. You know what? This was this was the
there it is.
and I did win. I'm going to take back my submission to George's choice, based on the comments. I think it's clear that I won with my Aquaterra choice. But this was the episode that I did the most research on, because I'm not a big Bond fan now, and I didn't know much about beyond the things that have been in the press, the big press. I didn't know a huge amount, and so I was really nicely surprised when I found out that there was an Aquaterra in the mix. I thought that was really cool. So I was genuinely excited about that.
I got at least one vote. Did you get any votes, George? I think I got one vote out of 400 comments, which I was pretty happy with that, actually.
I would say to you, the Night Diver did get a bit of love, so I'm very pleased that a lot of people did like it, because it is the obscure one, like the Breitling. Both those two are really obscure. I mean, people are talking about a pre-Daytona as well, that you know, from a Majesty's Secret Service, and now that is really obscure as well, because I think you can only see it for one image when he's up in the up in the Kloss, or the skiing resort. So
I agree with Andrew in the episode that if it wasn't for you, George, it would have been a really fucking boring
It would have been
It
terrible.
would have been the most vanilla episode ever of all time.
And it would have been over in like 7 minutes.
Yeah. Favorite Bond movie?
Okay, now this is something I wanted to bring up.
Look at this.
Look at this sun.
Look at the sunrise.
Gorgeous.
I've got to make an
baby.
expedition down to Australia. To
I'm just competing. I was like, how can I trump Adrian's ice cave?
Just go outside.
How can I trump Adrian's ice cave? That's what I think about.
I was thinking about the being in and having a drink and blah blah blah. Anyway, favorite Bond movie. So Adrian, what's your favorite Bond movie?
Based solely on nostalgia and just pure childhood adventures in my head, it has to be GoldenEye, which then transitioned into the what was it? It was what game's console?
Yeah, GoldenEye. It was a computer game, GoldenEye.
Yeah. But what game's console was it? It was a Nintendo.
It was a Nintendo 64.
64. That was it.
It was fucking awesome.
We had that at boarding school, and that was the only game that we had on the bloody thing. And so we learned that game inside out. And so it's a whole GoldenEye package. There's a little sweet thing for me.
That's why I love this watch, is because I love the laser that comes out of this watch. I was like, this is awesome, and I totally forgot about it. Okay, Andrew, what's your favorite James Bond? Not Crocodile Dundee, please.
I'll show you. That's not a knife, George. That wasn't a. Yeah, that was very cutting. No, for me, there's like the nostalgia is real for all the old Bond films, and like I do like the memories of watching them on friends' couches when you're like 12. But there's only one Bond movie really in terms of quality, and that's Casino Royale. Every day of the week, I've watched that film 15 times. And
which
every
new
time I
or
watch
old?
it, no, they're new.
Okay.
And there's always something new in it. It's unbelievable. It's like the parkour opening scene, the casino, took the wrong tab of acid scene. I don't know, everything. It's an incredible film, and it's got like that is someone's already mentioned that I'm drinking a protein shake out of a four pillars somewhere around in the wild, but that is fitness gold. Like that. That's an unbelievable movie. Clearly the best movie, in my opinion.
You only live twice. Now, the only reason why I freaking love it, because the villain is awesome. I love his lair that rises out of the water. That lotus that goes underwater and has rockets and races around Sardinia. I'm like, this thing it's glamorous. It's fabulous. It's also, Russia kind of pairs up with the UK. I don't know. It's just a really, really, really cool Bond, and I think it's just cheesy enough to make me smile. And also now, still, when I go back into the old times of the movies with my kids, for Your Eyes Only. You're totally right. Not You Only Live Twice. For Your Eyes Only. You Only Live Twice was for Japan. Sorry, and that was a Toyota 2000 Toyota that I freaking love. For Your Eyes Only, you're totally right. That's because I hadn't watched it recently, but it is one of the best Bonds. So even if I forget about it, it is one of the coolest things. Now moving on, sorry, because I've realized that I've got the wrong thing. So let's move on to Jean-Claude. That was one of the coolest things that I when you brought that. For me, this was one of the big mic drop moments. And also, I think you're totally right. I think it really is one of the best things, because he really reinsurged or gave the love back into Omega. Similar to what Reynald's just done with Swatch Omega. I think it's one of those new mic drop moments. I don't know what you guys think.
It was also a brilliant kind of just, he just allowed, the way he speaks, he allows you to kind of dive into his brain and see how his brain works. And it's simple but pure genius at the same time. He's so so decisive on what he wants the outcome to be, and he knows exactly how to get it. And I don't know, I kind of feel like the decisions that he makes would normally take a board months to come to, where when he talks about it, it's as if it's just, no, you've handed me an idea. I'm going to take it and make it 10 times better for the both of us. And this is what we're going to do. And he is a true marketing genius. And you to have that content is amazing. That was a mic drop, absolute mic drop moment.
Yeah. No,
and he continues to do it because people tend to talk about that. But obviously Hublot is a vexed discussion. I don't know if Nico's still around. If he is, he won't be much longer because I'm about to say something nice about Hublot. But what he's done with Hublot is even bigger. Like the Amiga Bond step was like him learning his chops. So what he's done with Hublot is I never know how to say that brand. No. But he's picked up all these populist sports because, Swiss luxury watches stayed away from all of these hoi polloi sports like cricket and boxing and soccer, or football as you call it. And he's gone along and said, no, there's like 3.5 billion people watching the World Cup. So not only am I going to sponsor the World Cup and sponsor soccer, but I'm also going to create those, the things the referees hold up it in the shape of the Big Bang. So like Amiga and Bond is an amazing thing, but he's continued to just lift the game in terms of how that doesn't seem very innovative to sponsor really popular sports, but Swiss luxury brands have stayed away from these kind of common and less prestigious sports, and look at the result.
And that's the thing. You have to look at his book, you have to read his book, but also the other thing I will say to you is if you watch any YouTube on him and listen to what he says about what he did at Hublot, what he did at at all the brands, it is one of those things where you just sit there and you go, oh my god. Even his time at Audemars Piguet when he first started out in the watch world, you go, what the hell? And I think that's one of those things that I think is one of the most amazing things. Oh, Adrian, do you want to pick this one up?
But you could make it so that the top pusher is like a little gun or something. Like there's a bullet in it,
and it flies off it.
So someone before this asked a really good question, which is, what would we choose for the next Bond watch?
And Andrew, I was going to get to that, but that's one of the best. Okay, Andrew, you started off. Go on. What would you choose?
Strangely enough, the first thing that came to my mind was a Mad 1, an MB&F Mad 1, because of that spinning Ninja Star on the actual on the actual dial. Like, imagine if it spun and then flew off and killed the baddie. I'm thinking a Mad 1, just for laughs. It's pretty conspicuous. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Adrian, what would you choose?
Now, this could be quite a controversial thing, but there's something about. So the reality is, Bond would have worn a CWC. He would have been issued a CWC Divers or a CWC G10. But I can't help but think that there would be some sort of connection with Bremont because of how heavily Bremont creates military watches. Sorry, George.
You stole George's line.
And there's something about Bond that is painfully British, and there's something painfully British about Bremont. I kind of feel like that they, regardless of any sponsorship deal, there would have been some sort of, I don't know, bromance between the two brands. What's your thoughts, George?
Fuck you,
Adrian.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
I can tell now. I've got a feeling for these things.
Okay. Whilst we're on this fucking session, should we introduce this swear jar that someone?
No. We'll move on from that.
Yes.
Look, I would say no. Oi. Yeah, you asked me a question. Look, I said to you, I think Bremont is a real. It's a choice move. It is one of those things that I think, yes, would really, really work. I'd also say, and it's because I saw the Night Diver, the updated version. I would freaking love him to be wearing a Night Diver because I just think it would be a very cool move on from that. And kind of,
It's a logo too far, George. It's the logo too far. Hey, did someone have the stopwatch on your first takeaway mention? Was that it was 2 minutes 26 in episode 4? So what was it in the live stream?
I honestly, I don't know. Someone put a clip together of me talking about Omega, so I'm like, thank you, Marcus, for that.
Omega. That was me. Sorry, but no, yeah, that was Marcus. It was Marcus. He
I
can't
don't like
talk.
your Omega. That was my favorite bit when you looked at me. I don't like your Omega. You don't sound like that, George.
No, honestly, I think Bremont would be a really, really good move. I think also the new Night Diver. I think it's a really, really good looking watch, and I think that would work. But in a bigger case, in a diver case, then you deep diver case, that would be freaking awesome.
What if I made the Titanium Yachtmaster a production piece and gave that to Tom? That would work.
Oh yes, yeah,
that would work.
Stealthy, that'd be cool.
Tough.
Okay, now we have.
George
I'd like that for myself.
No, yeah, I'll take that.
Supposedly for me, I don't know. Each time I thought Idris Elba would have been the coolest Bond out there. Adrian is the next Bond.
I don't know about that.
Kevin, I think you love him too much.
Only because he breaks his watch so easily. Like, we can't. Yeah. you need to be. You need a more hardy Bond. Like
I broke my camera over the weekend. We won't.
There was some kind of conversation with Leica that you wanted to sort out or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that, but anyway.
We won't. It's a sore topic.
Cyanide capsule in the top pusher. How did you overtake this whole show, Adrian, with your bloody pusher gate?
Now, can I ask you a question? Because it's come up 2 or 3 times. Villain's watch.
Ooh.
Because it's 2 or 3 questions have come up. What would the villain be wearing?
That's a cool idea.
And I'm kind of like, and I loved that the Swatch did all those villain watches, and I thought it was a really cool collection of Swatch watches back in and they launched it. I think it was 5 years ago or 6 years ago, and I thought this was a really cool thing. What do you think, Adrian? What would you think is the villain's watch?
The only thing that can come to mind is Tudor did a Black Bay that was completely stealthed out. They had a Metas movement in, and the whole it was useless as a watch because you couldn't tell the time. But it just
the ceramic.
It just looked mean as hell. And I kind of you could imagine someone rocking up in a full black suit, open collar, and having just that completely blacked out dive watch on. It looked pretty cool, but I'm sure there's something more adventurous. Oh yeah, the Black Panther AP. That would be sick as a villain watch.
That'd be a crossover of a branding there. Andrew, what do you think?
Oops.
I kind of like quirky villains. Like I like the villains in Despicable Me, the franchise, because I have like 17 children, so I'm always watching. At any point in time, I'm watching Despicable Me. So I would go for the Konstantin Chaikin Minion watch. I'd go for the Minion for the villain. I would, because it's like I like my kind of real psycho villains, not the obviously kind of scary looking dudes, but the real sadistic. Yeah, so I'm gonna go the Chaikin Minion, and
Zachary Blass has just brought up the Tiffany's Nautilus. And I thought that I thought it could be quite an interesting one, but for me, I don't know. I'm kind of going an Octo Finissimo, ultra kind of thin. I thought would be absolutely cool. Or that Richard Mille. Ultra kind of Ferrari watch, because you look at the pricing of it, you look at all the things, it's kind of like, if he's a villain and he's taking over the world, he's going to have a watch on his wrist that no one's going to be able to nick off his wrist because he's got enough security to go and kill them. and a shark kind of swimming pool with freaking laser beams on.
There's kangaroos with laser beams out here, by the way. So if you see me just get eviscerated, it's from I actually may be able to see some kangaroos if I look around. This is proper.
That would make my day if you brought a kangaroo
Do you
on
know,
a live
let's
stream.
let's go looking. Let's go and have a look.
Would be
Do you know, I
fucking
would
nuts.
love this because I'd love it to box him. I'd love it to attack him and just be like, oh my God. That,
There's one. There's a black one. There it is.
oh no.
I got so excited just then. That's smaller than I expected, but I'm game if that's it.
Okay.
Someone
Okay.
just
Go back to the
mentioned
part.
the Apple Watch as a villain watch, but actually I think the Apple Watch would be a brilliant Bond watch. Just imagine how much stuff you could mess up with an Apple
Yeah,
Watch, launching systems or hacking into systems.
Yeah, but the
Taking
thing
over
is,
stuff.
you'd be
Someone
traceable
got that
wherever you
watch.
were.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you're giving out a Wi-Fi signal. Yeah.
I'm like you're like, can I get on the Wi-Fi? Can I listen to my music now? It's
What's
like,
your Wi-Fi code?
sorry, I need to blow up this. Come on.
Yeah, that's a good point. That
It's,
failed. Yeah. Ignore
No,
it.
half of the movie, the watch would be dead because it had run out of battery. That'd be an anticlimax.
Oh my God.
So, Marcus, I'm double clicking your things.
There's so many comments going on. A Grand Seiko would be good. Yeah.
There's rats who
Blind,
publishing.
blind temporarily. The comments are always the best.
Oh, that's great.
Definitely.
There
Okay,
was some
look,
really good
I'm
comments this week.
exactly. That's what I'm coming on to, Andrew. And I there's one or two good comments, and we're going to be giving away a T-shirt. We kind of get sidelined with the comments here and don't go on to the T-shirts and the great comments that we've had. So Adrian and Andrew, I'm going to go to Andrew because I want to see a kangaroo box him in the head. Andrew, why don't you go first and tell us which comment was your best?
Well, look, I think you have to give credit to people that get a lot of upvotes, and the most upvoted comment was a very kind one about us. So thank you very much for that. But the second most upvoted comment was about Ian Fleming and Captain Boring. So I'm just going to hand over to Mr. Explorer One to talk about the fact that that probably, like we said right at the start, if you missed the start of this live stream, we are mea culpa, because we missed, we kind of group blanked on Rolex and also group ignored Rolex. But yeah, I think that comment was quite salient because it brought it back to the originator of Bond and the fact that the Explorer One was the watch of the Bond in the books, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, but I can't help but feel that we all didn't mention Rolex for a reason. That there were other things to talk about, because every time you Google Bond, the smart or the people trying to show that they have deep knowledge always go down the Bond route of this was the original Bond watch.
Big Crown,
it's pretty
369. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been done to death. And,
You know what? Maybe it's about effing time there was a Bond episode without Rolex in it.
Exactly.
George
So, okay.
wore a Panerai. I get so distracted by these excellent comments on our live stream.
Okay, but
Sorry.
that's
my vote.
Okay, Adrian.
Are we voting for best comment or best what?
No, this is best comment for a T-shirt because I think we give away a comment for the T-shirt, not on this, but on our post. Because go on.
So I've got I can't tell if it's a guy or a girl. I've got a person here. It's just about time. Well, I was as a broke 21-year-old brought my first Omega thanks to Bond. So clearly Jean-Claude Beaver's gambit totally worked, and I also learned the evils of higher purchase credit. Thanks to his watch. But it was nice to see there are actually quite a few people saying that, yeah, I was introduced to the watch world through Bond because of the connection with Bond and Omega, which I think is brilliant. The more people we can get on board, the better. But it's also interesting to see the marketing working, not just for the watch geeks, but for the wider watch community or non-watch community rather. And as a best topic of comment, I'd like to say that there's been a huge amount of support for my choice of Aquaterra.
Stop it, Adrian. No one likes a sore winner.
I'm not competitive, but I do think that the people, had the people voted, I think I would have won that episode.
But see,
Really?
we all came to this episode differently. Like, I just tried to bring something surprising and delightful, as
And you
opposed to obvious. And you were trying to win. That was I thought we were just trying to provoke, but that's okay. You win. You can win. Yeah.
No, he
George,
doesn't fucking win.
Yeah. Well, you. All right, Jesus. Two competitive lads and someone just trying to bring
entertainment. At least we have one entertainer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
George,
like,
what was your
come
favorite
on.
comment? What was your favorite? What made you smile in a George Manford way?
No, okay, look, it wasn't even what made me smile. There's a James, and I can never say his surname. So, James, you did, since the Seamaster 300 dive quartz from Goldeneye got me into watches, I'll have to go with that as the winner. My personal favorite Bond watch, though, has got to be the Omega Seamaster 300 coaxial Spectre watch. But why I'm saying this is because of this comment. It made me think about the GoldenEye one, and then the GoldenEye watches keep on kind of going through, and so I had to buy a bloody watch just because all the comments.
You actually bought that watch. You bought that.
I brought this watch. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, that's why it's got swing tags on it. I was like, I played it on the Nintendo 64. I watched it on the thing, and I thought, oh my god, and so anyway, that was my therapy session. I had to buy a bloody watch, and I can't believe I did. And box papers, swing tag, as I would do it. I haven't even changed the size of it because it arrived 2 days ago. So I'm taking off my Hoya Night Diver, and you can see that it's a little bit loose on my wrist. It's got every 007 logos on it. It's a little bit loose on my wrist, but anyway, it's a nice
Adrian,
watch.
I think we have to. It's not easy or comfortable for us to do, but we must give George a lot of credit today. He's come as a dressed-down Bond. He bought a Bond watch. He smashed it. I'm out in the wild, like fighting for my life on some reality TV show, and George is just really. You've literally bought. I brought a knife to a gunfight, a Crocodile Dundee knife to a gunfight, but you've just annihilated us both. Hey, here's another question, and this is like the two things I woke up in sweats since the episode launched have been, number one. By the way, I've challenged my friend who's camping with me to do a nudie run at some point. So if you see a naked man running around in the background,
you may have to angle the screen down a bit because you're not going to get anything.
No. The other thing I woke up in sweats about was the Spectre Seamaster. Like, how could I have forgotten that? That is an amazing watch. Like, yes, it has Adrian Barker's logos to make him happy, but it is actually that on the NATO was. Yeah. Surely the best modern, until the No Time to Die. That was an absolute killer. So I did tend to think that was another one. And that campaign was very effective, I thought. Remember that campaign?
Yes, I agree. And Alex, Jesus Christ, you're totally right. Andrew thinks he's on a mission, and he really isn't. Adrian does kind of reminisce about trying to be Q, but we really have the only Q in the business. Adrian, Marcus is our Q.
No, Adrian is definitely the photographic Q. Like, he's always, you're geeking out on some, intensely,
well,
detailed camera gear.
That makes Marcus M.
Yes.
I mean, like, he's the one that sends us off and kind of says, "You guys go and do this, you go and do that." Yeah. So no, I think it is one of those great Bond stories. I think it was a really, really great episode for us to kind of get into. and understand kind of Bond and watches. And that's when you said mea culpa about certain brands that you missed out on it. I think actually we were trying to not do the boring, not do something that you could instantly go to. I think I love the kind of the weird and wonderful, and I always I mean, I feel like I need a hairy chest popping out.
That's groovy, baby.
Oh yeah.
Oh god. So what's your favorite campaign? What's your favorite advertising campaign for Bond? Because I think Spectre's mine, actually. I do think that campaign just killed it. Like, I can remember every one of those posters. Did you guys have one in mind?
Well, I've got to say I freaking loved all the old James Bond scent or perfume kind of James Bond perfume that said, "Oh, if you want to be like Bond, spray this." And it was, and for me, it was so cheesy that I thought it was really awesome. Adrian? What about you?
I don't know which film it was. I think it was the last film. It wasn't a campaign, but just the blatant snub of Rolex, where they're on the train and the girl says to Bond, is that a Rolex? And it's just Omega.
Vespa wins.
And then she compliments.
Yeah,
that's just.
I think that was Vespa, wasn't it?
Yeah, Vespa.
A blatant stab at Rolex, and it was the nothing being said. That was the powerful part. The body language, the little facial expressions to say, "Oh, you've got something better." That was. I think
that was evergreen. She was just awesome. And Casino Royale, like every single scene in Casino Royale it's kind of sad how good it was. There'll never be a Bond as good as that ever.
Okay. Now another question: best Bond song.
Ooh,
Christ, you guys are getting geeky now.
Now, it isn't the Chris Cornell one from Casino Royale. That's a good song, but his voice is so high. I do love. What about you, George? I'll go after you.
Live and Let Die.
I
was gonna say it. I mean, Live and Let Die. I'm like, you've just got to drop the mic on that and kind of go, yeah, look, that Live and Let Die is one of the best. I would also say, but Adrian, what do you think? You're now Googling it whilst we're talking.
I'm Googling. I know nothing else. But as you say, Live and Let Die. For me,
Goldfinger.
Goldfinger's a classic as well.
That's a classic.
I'd probably have to go with Goldfinger based on everything else that I love about Goldfinger and childhood.
Yeah, Live and Let Die, Paul McCartney. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that was like, it was a real kind of good thing. Nobody Does It Better was my first dance of my wedding.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
George,
so that's how.
To all the unfortunate people who don't have a live WhatsApp thread with George Bamford, his life is like Bond in more ways than just his wedding song. Like, Adrian, are you slightly tiring of just the backgrounds, the vehicles, the boats? George, I don't want to make you sound like Jeff Bezos, but it truly is. Yeah, the countries. I'll be like, oh, how's Greece today? It's like, Greece, I'm in Lithuania, obviously. It's just. Take your medicine,
morning
George.
Run
you
in Monaco.
Cannot argue. The morning run in Monaco. Exactly.
Well, sorry. You were on a boat in Monaco.
Yeah.
And then someone was in an ice cave. I'm like, Jesus Christ. You're talking about being jealous of someone. And now who's out in the wilderness trying to kind of wrestle kangaroos?
Yeah, well, I don't think Bond would ever do that. It's just, I am more like Crocodile Dundee, truly. I can see a bottle of Fireball and a cup of coffee over there. So, keeping it classy out here.
Definitely keeping
Diamonds Are Forever. That's a good one. I actually really do like the GoldenEye song as well. I think that was Tina Turner.
Yeah.
Tina Turner. Yeah, it was good. Raymond's very active today. Hi, Raymond.
No, honestly, these are just drinks. I thought I'd come to a bar, and wear in black tie, and I thought I'd come to a bar and just kind of have some shit on the drinks behind me. So that was kind of my thing. Now you're talking about a swear jar. We're not doing a swear jar because I would be broke in about one day.
Should we give people a little teaser of what's coming, or should we stay on Bond? If there are any other questions re-Bond live stream pals, let us know. But should we give a little tease, or?
Yeah, before we do that, there was a question right at the start. Just questioning the format and makeup of what we're doing, and I think it'd be a perfect opportunity to address it. These basically the way that we run the podcast at the moment is we have the actual podcast, the actual watch show goes out every other Sunday, and the Sundays in between we do these live shows.
Therapy sessions.
They are therapy sessions to kind of debrief on the previous week's show and to address the comments in the comment section of that show. It's basically keeping the conversation going, and this is a conversation not just between us four or three plus Marcus who doesn't talk. But with you guys as well, we read your comments. We aren't able to respond to all of them.
I love this format because it's sort of
this
it gives us a chance to talk about the commenters, and like honestly, like 400 plus comments on every episode. Like it's become this rolling party, and you guys are a part of it. We absolutely love it. And guys, how's our WhatsApp thread? We're just constantly sending each other screenshots of all the comments.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's like
Okay,
so.
Gruen.
Sorry,
Okay,
if you're not on board with the live streams, basically, don't worry. We have a whole batch of epic conversations between the three of us coming. So every other week we have the proper show.
And every other week we have a therapy session. It's kind of a okay, guys. We have been asked a few times. Please discuss. I'm going to put it over to Adrian or Andrew. Adrian, because I keep on looking at kind of someone out in the wilderness. Adrian.
I know nothing about this Gruen. Is that German? Is it?
Andrew.
So you guys are going to have to educate me.
No, I can't educate you. I know nothing about it either. This is the thing. Like, tell us. Write a long comment explaining. Why we should talk about this watch.
At MA, let's educate us. We'll go to a different question and then we'll come back to this and discuss.
Yeah.
Look, I would say to you, I don't know anything as well, so we're all kind of in the dark. That's why, but we've been asked a few times, so sorry about that.
I realized this last week how many Hamiltons have been in Bond as well. There's been tons of Hamilton. Hamilton's obviously got a movie thing in terms of just being.
Well, there was even a Bond character called Hamilton. So
yes, you should get my boss on a podcast sometimes. Who's your boss?
So George is already on OnlyFans if you haven't found him yet. The Gruen Precision 510.
We're still up in the air until someone kind of gets through it.
Guys,
the other
obviously
thing,
it's the Gruen Precision 510. I mean, I thought it was the 512, but you know, sometimes.
The other thing I think is absolutely. So Zachary, you said this. There is the auction that is coming up at Christie's, or I think it's just happened. No, it's coming up, and this is going to be absolutely amazing. And there is some really cool. There's Land Rover Defenders in there that I'm a Defender freak. There's a few of the Aston Martins in there. And it really is one of those. If you are a Bond fan, you can't drive any of the cars on the road anywhere, but you feel like you're in kind of the coolest James Bonds ever. And so for me, that is the greatest thing. Okay. Now I've got another question, just because I want to geek out on Bond a little bit. Is which is the best henchman of a Bond? Crocodile Dundee? Because you've just changed your name to. Oh, he was the villain, but yes, yeah.
Oh, you mean Jaws, like the henchman Jaws? I like Jaws. I like the guy that bit through the cable.
Adrian?
I like the guy with the hat.
Odd Job.
Yeah,
Odd job. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got to say I'm kind of liking on a top because I just think she is just hardcore. This is Goldeneye, and she is kind of one of the best because I think as a villain, I think henchman, I think she rocks it, especially in that Ferrari scene when she's driving and he's in an Aston Martin, she's in a 355 Ferrari. I just think it's freaking cool. Okay, so we're getting back to be okay.
So I've got a really crazy idea, guys. So thanks for educating us on Gruen, guys. There's been some chatter about, if we did a watch, what would it be, and will we ever do a watch and all of that? What if we just pitched in and bought Gruen? Let's just bring Gruen back. How could someone not have just bought Gruen and brought back Bond watch? Maybe we should do that.
It's not a nice name. It's not a sexy name.
Gruen.
No,
there's worse.
Yeah, like Andrew.
How do you even respond to that? How do you even?
Zin's a bad name. There's so many brands with bad names. They make great watches, but I just don't like the name.
Okay, that's a no then to the idea of buying Gruen because
I would like to buy a watch company though and relaunch stuff because that would be an epic project.
But I also think if we looked at About Effing Time as a watch brand, I don't know what the hell it would be. I mean, like this is my other thing is what brand would you work with? Because I'd love to do something IWC. Of course, I'd love to do Tag Heuer, but it's kind of like what would you do?
Yeah, a wall clock. We do a wall clock.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Wait, Adrian, what would you do?
You don't have enough wall clocks, George.
Yeah,
no.
I think we could be a fun minimalist. Either go minimalist or go all in on the rock and roll theme.
Underdog.
Rock and roll some stuff.
Someone suggested a travel clock.
That's never going to die, is it? That meme's never going to go away.
That was a one and done. That was like there'll never be another travel clock in the history of time.
No. Maybe we should do a travel clock, but just make it like super cheap, like with pleather on the outside, really shitty acrylic glass, and a quartz movement on the inside, really loud quartz, but charge like 10 grand per unit.
You mean a meme version, but but then we should just call ourselves Hodonki or something.
No. Well, now that we're publicly broadcasting right now.
We aren't just. This isn't one of our Zoom chats. I beseech the world to show me a travel clock. If they were sold out, there must be one because they were sold out, guys. Like they were so popular that they were sold out. Show me a travel clock. Does anyone have a travel clock? I don't doubt that they do sell out.
I've seen them in the flesh.
You have?
Yeah, I've seen one or two in the flesh. So I've seen them in the flesh. Honestly, this travel clock I freaking love, and it reminds me of the old Cartiers and the things. I think there was a few things that weren't right when they launched it, but I freaking loved what they did. I think it was. Everyone said it was a misstep. I don't think it was the misstep. But that's probably me saying.
I'm not going to cast judgment. Don't you want to see one, Adrian? Like, imagine a Bark and Jack review of the travel clock. That would be your biggest video since the Ice Cave.
That would be amazing. Yeah. Maybe I should see if anyone has one. I don't want to get bought out by Houdinki anyway, so I don't mind upsetting those guys. Most of them are left.
Introducing the fourth member of About Effing Time, Jack Forster. Jack, come on, Jack. I told you someone was doing a nudie run in the background. It's Jack.
Oh my god, no. Okay. Bioceramic watch make available to buy online and actually keep it online.
That would never work. That would never work.
Honestly, I think it should work, but it's not. I also just to kind of get off the James Bond theme and just go back to our theme that we did last time was the no, not a reverso, please, please. But I did wear a reverso the last time I saw you guys. So I purposely wore a reverso. The thing. I've reached out to eBay of all people, and I think there is a way of launching a watch through an eBay platform, and I think that could be the way round this flipping scenario.
Oh, right.
So I've been talking to them and trying to understand what they're doing, and if there's a way that you could launch it through there. You know, still it's early days, and that's you're hearing something here first. But I think that eBay being open to doing stuff more within the watch world and trying to sort out some stuff, I think is a good way.
Cool. That's interesting.
So that's my way of trying to look at stopping flipping. Okay, look, I'm gonna kind of is there anything else that we'd like to talk about? Because we are coming up to, it was meant to be 45 minutes, and now it's kind of like it's running past that 45 minutes, and I know that we can carry on chatting as long.
Questions
Any final questions
about anything?
Someone said anyone that thinks a black dog is a kangaroo would obviously have thought it was a Gruen 512.
I love this. Look,
many layers to that burn. I appreciate that. That's a t-shirt. Can we give that?
Okay.
Whoever said that is a t-shirt. That's genius.
And Anthony, I'm gonna I'm gonna get Gustard guy to tell me how to pronounce this. Okay, so I'll get him to do a video and try and get him to tell me how to pronounce it, because if I'm pronouncing it wrong,
Adrian, I smell a jump cut. Do you?
Yeah. We're going to get one of George doing it all. We've got Tag, we've got Omega.
Okay. So we've got to announce the winner, guys. Marcus has tapped us on that. Okay. How many winners can we have?
What do we do?
I liked your guy. I liked your Afterpay guy, Adrian. That was genius. The poor guy got sucked into buying a Bond franchise watch with logos all over it, and he's in debt. It's like, but I'm the same.
I look. How I think he has a T-shirt. I honestly, I think definitely he has a T-shirt. And JLC, I'm sorry that I pronounce everything wrong. I pronounce people's names wrong. So I'm still trying to pronounce my own surname right. So it's not the greatest thing. Jaeger LeCoutre. L'Accoutrement.
Stop. Oh, jump cut me. So are we going to give a little teaser? So that's the winner. Afterpay guy is the winner. I did think that the upvoted Fleming comment was a very salient point. So you have our undivided respect and attention for that. But maybe, now relatable content.
Okay, guys, tell me, what are we talking about next week? Because I think next week is kind of quite a big one. And if we're talking about therapy, it comes out with some really big therapeutic things at the end of it.
I've watched it back today. I think it's quite an interesting. We go deep in it. It's a different energy.
This sounds like my OnlyFans site.
That's not.
Wow.
Is that not what we're talking about?
No.
Are we talking? I thought we were talking about
I've watched it 7 times because I edit it with Marcus, and I tend to say this every week, but this is definitely the best episode. This is easily the best episode. This is my favorite episode. Because you think you know George Bamford. You think you know George Bamford. You don't know George Bamford. Not until you've seen this episode.
Okay. So what is the episode about?
Do we want to give it away? I guess we do.
Well, we can, or we can be off it.
It's about Adrian's narcissistic parents.
Oh yeah, it is.
No.
No,
Look,
let's leave it at that. We're gonna have teasers going out during this week.
Yeah.
And I think all we can say, and maybe this doesn't give it away, is that we're jointly traumatized by this brand, and this is our way of dealing with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it's all about one brand. That's quite an amazing thing. Is we're only focused on this one brand.
I'm just going to take the comment away because there will be a comment that says, "You mean Tag Heuer like every episode?" No, not Tag Heuer.
I like how someone says you aren't actually sponsored by gin. You're sponsored by Tag. Four pillars aren't your
sponsor. That's come up a few times. Yeah. No, it isn't Tag Heuer. It isn't a show about Tag Heuer because there's already 4 of those.
Really? And no, it's not about Hublot. So anyway, I think that's enough guessing. What I would say is thank you so much, Adrian and Crocodile Dundee. Please go and have some fun with the kangaroo. Marcus is in a tent in somewhere as well. So we are all the jet set bunch. But I would also say is thank you very much for tuning in to About Effing Time therapy session. And this has been an absolute treat. Thank you so much, Adrian.
Thanks so much, guys. You rock,
Andrew.
See you, gentlemen.
Take care, buddy. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Bye.